have no idea.
Dr. Jane, know more about it.
Yeah.
How are you? Good to see you.
Oh, that's
Good to see you. Good morning, everybody. You're a CMCer too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, it took me a minute, yes, all right.
all the hair now.
Say hi to each of the students. Hi, I'm Maggie. Rachel, nice to see you. Jen, nice to meet you.
Hi,
Amy.
Amy, good to see you.
Hi, Jay.
Hi, Jay.
Ariel.
Hi, Ariel.
Hi, Karen. I'm actually the teacher.
Excellent. I was waiting for a teacher or something. Hi.
Jackie.
Jackie, nice to meet you. You want me here?
Great.
Somebody else want to? Yeah. I don't have to be alone.
That was totally set up.
Yeah,
Sure, great. I'd be happy to.
Yeah, so we just went around and I met each of you, but before we get started, can we just do this one more time? I'll actually start with you, Christine. Just say who you are, and then we'll go all the way around the room. Just for all of you, I just, in addition to your name, where you're from, and are you all in the same stage of the program? Yes. So you're the newest cohort.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we have two actually from our most recent cohort who just graduated.
Okay, so let's do that. So Christine, why don't you start with it?
We have one from the first class.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
first, I'm sorry,
That's right.
the first and the second.
Yeah.
That's right, Cameron.
Yeah.
Just like yesterday.
Yeah, it's been a year.
Wow.
So I am Christine Dudley. I'm the Workforce Development Director here at MCC.
Okay. Maggie Hassen.
Jackie Santos,
Okay, and where are you from?
Litchfield, New Hampshire.
Okay. And you're in this current class?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Hi, I'm Grace Wells, and I'm from New Hampshire, Manchester, and currently with this class.
Okay.
My name's Cameron. I'm from Boston, and I was in the first class a year ago.
And I'm Karen Kopsick, and I'm the lucky teacher that has gotten to teach them for the very first class and for the third class.
Okay.
I'm enjoying it much.
Ariel Dorson. I'm from Merrimack, New Hampshire.
Oh, Jaquila Brewer, and I'm from New Hampshire, in this current class.
Okay.
I'm Amy Quimpo. I'm from Londonderry, and I just graduated last Friday.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Jennifer Mosier, and I'm currently in this class, and I'm from Salem.
Okay.
Rachel King. I'm from Salem, New Hampshire, and I'm currently in the third cohort.
I wanted to be here to talk a little bit about what your experience has been and what I'm trying to do to build more of these type of opportunities for more people in New Hampshire, for more businesses who need a new workforce. But before we do that, maybe Christine, you can talk to me a little bit about this program and partnership and what it's targeted for and how it's been working.
Absolutely. So first, I'd just like to say we have a great partnership with our business partner who is CMC and also Apprenticeship New Hampshire. So it is definitely the three of us working together to build this program and to bring it to the employees at CMC. It really does start with the employer, so that's the great thing about apprenticeship. It's about businesses looking to skill their workforce and do that through the community college system and also through a grant that we have through the community college system, Apprenticeship New Hampshire. So the program is an intensive 12 weeks, 8 weeks of full-time in class here at MCC, and then they go to a practicum for 4 weeks that is at a CMC location. So it's a very intense program.
And I realized that I kind of had skipped our CMC folks in the back there, so why don't you tell us, who you are and why this partnership is important to CMC.
So Meryl Rosenfeld, Vice President of HR at CMC, and it became very apparent to us back actually in October of 17 when we saw the need and quite a few openings in our medical assistant population. Our practices were growing. We had new providers coming to work with us, and we couldn't fill the positions ourselves readily. And so when we had reached out and we said, can we do something together, and how can we make this work? I mean, we have now, in this past year, and Cameron, I mean, a year ago, she's absolutely correct, we have 22 new people
Right.
as MAs have started with us in this year, and that's amazing. We filled almost every position. We have more coming open, so we know that as new providers come in, and there's turnover here and there,
Yeah.
but we know that this is an amazing opportunity for us as an employer to have an amazing group who are very dedicated and wanting to either have a new career or change their career,
Right.
or start one, right?
Yeah.
Emily, anything you want to add to that, or?
Yeah, so I would say that out of the 22 that we've hired, we still have 21 working for us, which
Right.
is really incredible,
Great.
that we've kept everybody, and
Yeah.
it's, I think at this point, we've stabilized the
Mhm.
MA
Yeah.
crisis or shortage that we were having. And we're looking to move into the LNA round,
Okay.
realm next, so.
Yeah.
June 1st.
Yes.
So this, what I, in these couple of minutes, what you all have articulated is the thing I hear from employers in lots of different sectors all across the state, and I know my colleagues do in their states across the country, which is we have very low unemployment rate, and in New Hampshire it's particularly low. That's very good in some ways. It represents an economy that's going well. But for employers, it's a real challenge. But the other thing I hear about is even if the unemployment rate weren't quite so low, meaning there's always a demand for more workers, we have a kind of mismatch sometimes between what workers are skilled to do and what employers need them to do. And in healthcare, it's in roles like medical assistants, but throughout the industry, when I talk to our community health providers, for instance, the workforce in behavioral health and substance misuse treatment, right, is really limited, and we need to expand that. When I talk to people in the manufacturing sector, advanced manufacturing now requires a kind of skill that an awful lot of people haven't been trained up to do, because it's hands-on manufacturing on the one hand, but you need to understand technology and computers at a certain level on the other hand. And what we're seeing is an economy that is transitioning into increased leveraging of digital technology, and the technological changes are happening at such a rapid clip that it's very hard for those of us who went to school or trained up in something even a decade ago necessarily to be right where we need to be in this economy, in this moment, for the jobs that we have right now. And I think it's fair to say that when we have people come to the Senate and testify about our educational needs or our technological needs, and I'm on the HELP committee in the Senate, which is Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, what they will tell us is that we can expect most people to need to continue to get at least on-the-job training over the course of their career because of the speed of technological change throughout everything we do. I was over at GE recently, and there's a whole lot of jobs that people used to do by hand that robots can now do. They still need people to program and check the robots, right? So it's not like they're getting rid of jobs, and these are jobs that used to cause repetitive motion injury and things like that. People didn't like to do them, so it could be a win-win. But the same person who was doing the hands-on job needs training in order to be able to oversee that robot, right? So that's the kind of challenge we've got right now with workforce. So I have this bill called Gateway to Careers, and it's a bipartisan bill. We just reintroduced it this week or last week. It's been a busy couple of weeks. So we've got two Republicans, Senator Gardner from Colorado, as well as Senator Young from Indiana, and then Senator Tim Kaine's a Democrat from Virginia, and me. And we are focusing on making sure that the federal government is incentivizing and leveraging partnerships just like this one. So in fact, if I'm right, this partnership is funded in part by a grant from the U.S. Department of Labor to our whole community college system, and Apprentice in New Hampshire. The whole program is developed or is focused on developing apprenticeships like this one in different sectors. We want to make sure we continue to do that, scale up the availability of programs like this to our workforce and to our businesses. And then the other thing that we're trying to do is, one, make sure that the curriculum that you all are studying is aligned with industry needs. So that's where the consultation between employers and educators is really important. We also want to make sure that we are thinking through pathways. So you all train up as medical assistants, but you might decide you want to go further in the field than this. We want you to be able to do that without necessarily having to stop working altogether, because most people I know would have a hard time making ends meet and supporting the family if they had to stop for long periods of time and just go back to school. So we want to make sure that there's some flexibility and people can earn what we call stackable credentials. You get your MA credential, you work for a while, maybe you want to go to the next step, maybe you don't, but we want to make that possible. And then the third focus is to make sure that if people have barriers to workforce training and employment, let's say childcare or transportation, maybe there's a health issue that somebody's never attended to and it's been keeping them out of the workforce for a long time, or they've been in and out because of that. Maybe it's somebody with substance use disorder, and so they have a kind of spotty employment record and they haven't really been able to stay in an educational program. We think that if there are supports and services for students who haven't traditionally been employed or haven't been employed for a long time, or have these child care or transportation challenges, that's an additional thing we can do, which is a smart investment. Because what we really want to be able to do is support people as they get back into the workforce, get engaged with their job, and then if challenges come up, it doesn't derail them for the long term. So that's what the bill is intended to do. We just introduced it. We're hoping very much to get this folded into what's called the Higher Education Authorization Act, which needs to be reauthorized this year. But I'm just trying to make sure as we do work on this bill, because what happens in Congress is we put the bill in, and then people give us feedback, and we make changes, and we try to make sure that if there are things that we can add to it or tweak, we do that. So I would love to hear more about why the students here or the graduates decided to take this path, and also just from the school's point of view, what you needed to do, what you needed to learn from CMC to make this possible. So that's kind of what I was hoping to hear about this morning, and I'm also happy to answer any questions about what we're doing in Congress about this, or I'm your senator, so you can actually ask me anything.
Right.
Consider an open invitation, but let's start about this. Maybe you will. Give us some feedback.
We definitely, I'd love for Emily, the grant manager for Apprenticeship New Hampshire, talk a little bit about the beginnings of this apprenticeship, where that team works with CMC, and then MCC is brought in as the training provider. So I'd love Emily to say a few words about it.
So, the process starts, as you said, our team is funded through a grant from the U.S. Department of Labor. And apprenticeship starts with an employer, as Chris said. So typically the first thing that we do is outreach to businesses in the 5 industries that our program serves, and help identify sort of what the pain points that employer has. Where are their workforce and hiring gaps? How might an apprenticeship program help them fill that? And then essentially work with the employer sort of step by step to help them build their apprenticeship program. That program is registered and approved by the Office of Apprenticeship here in New Hampshire. And the employer really has the opportunity to lay out, here's what we need our people to be trained in on the job, in class. They have an opportunity to customize it and make it flexible based on their training needs, which is so important because medical assistants are, they do similar things across the board, but of course, CMC's practices are probably a little bit different than, another hospital here in New Hampshire. So it's really great that they sort of get to put their spin on it. And then, through our community college system, are able to connect the employer to the community college that is a part of the process along the way, helping to develop the training that the business needs as part of the program. So this particular program, the training was customized and developed specifically for CMC, and is actually a really successful model that employers across the state are now taking advantage of. So we have healthcare companies all over New Hampshire that are implementing a similar medical assistant apprenticeship. And then the grant can help with tuition assistance, so we provide scholarship to the apprentices to help pay for the tuition, can support the employer in recruiting and screening candidates if they'd like, and are really just there to sort of ensure that the process is smooth and that everyone, you know, truly is a partnership.
Right.
All of the partners are sort of coming together and working well to make it happen.
I think if I might just speak from a system perspective, I think the really interesting and unique thing about the Department of Labor grant is that we were, I think, the only community college system in the nation that received the Department of Labor grant. So we're in a unique position we have the in, if you will, in our colleges. And because I know that sometimes, you know, community colleges may be a little bit difficult to navigate sometimes. So we're able to, you know, on a system-wide basis, work with all 7 of our colleges to connect to the employers. As Emily said, we have a business outreach specialist who's out there doing that, talking with employers on a regular basis. And we're very excited about the bill. When you were governor, you know that we worked hard to respond to the needs of businesses as quickly as we could, and we're able to do that in our non-credit programs because we can develop programs quickly. But I think, too, the thing that we're really excited about is whenever possible, we're trying to, and here at MCC, it's a good example, where, as you say, with the stackable credentials, we're able to maybe potentially start a non-credit program quickly to get it up off the ground to respond to an immediate business need, but then have that program articulate and matriculate into a credit program.
Right.
So these students can go on to back to Manchester Community College if they choose while they're working, and register for the medical assistant associate's degree. And the credits that even though they're not credits they're earning here, the non-credits will transfer into that credit program.
I get it.
So we're trying to build those stackable credentials in whatever way we can possibly in all of the sectors that we're serving. And that's actually working very well in the advanced manufacturing, where students are coming in and not necessarily enrolling in the entire associate degree manufacturing program, but taking 4 or 5 courses within that apprenticeship, and then again, they can continue on in the degree if they choose, hopefully being paid by the employer, so that it's taking the pressure off of them. So we're thrilled that you're introducing this bill again. We've been watching it since you did it the first time, and hopefully this time it will.
Well, and I think you know what I'm hearing from colleagues around the country is that they're looking for models like this one, and one of the things I'm very proud of the community college system for here is that it's been so responsive and willing to think about doing things in some new, different ways. And we're New Hampshire and we're small and we're nimble, so that always helps too. How much is the tuition? $5,500 for the, okay. Not a small amount.
No, it is not.
Yeah.
So any of the students or graduates want to tell me about your personal path?
Sure.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So I had been married for 25 years.
Yeah.
Stay-at-home mom for 23.
Yeah.
And now I find myself in the middle of a divorce,
Oh, man.
needing all of a sudden a career.
Right, right.
So when I was told about this, I thought, okay, well, can I do this? Is this
Right.
even going to be possible with the cost and my kids? And
Right.
everything worked out so that the financial aspect was taken care of.
Right.
So it was minimal cost to me.
Yeah.
And our family kind of pulled together and made it possible for me to be here every day and then go home and study at night.
Yeah.
So, and also to be paid while we're here means that, you know, we don't have another issue on our hands
Right.
after that. So it worked out so well for me, and I'm really, really happy that, you know, 12 weeks, we can cram every day for 12 weeks.
Yes.
It was hard, but I'm so happy that I did it.
Yeah, and you can see that the end is in sight with
Yes.
the 12-week program, right?
Yeah.
And you know, you can push through for a little while. How old are your kids?
They range from 10 to 23.
Wow, yeah. So they're all stepping up and helping you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So now you're doing the on-the-job learning piece, you're working at CMC?
Right, so I was hired at Knee-High, which was where I was placed.
Yeah.
So really, my day didn't change from my externship to now current position, but it's been really neat to get that on-the-job training as well.
So you're in the on-the-job period of training, so do you like work directly with another medical assistant, or how does the?
Right now, I run my own patients, but there are, I don't know, 15 of us in the office, and everybody works together, so if you need help, you can go grab somebody and say, I need help with this, and they'll jump in.
What's easier, running a medical office or a home? Every now and then, when you stay home for a stretch because your kids are sick, and then you go back to the office, and it's like, I'll take it.
All good.
So Amy's in her 3,600 hours of on-the-job training, which is part of the program as well, and it's managed at the employer. So the employer pairs up the apprentices with a mentor. So for 3,600 hours, and then once that's complete, they've completed their entire apprenticeship program. So the training, the 12 weeks starts here, and then 3,600 hours beyond that is a full apprenticeship.
That's cool.
And then they're awarded their certificate through the Department of Labor.
Anybody else want to?
So I was originally I went to college right after high school, had left college because it was just too expensive in a single family home for my mom. So I started working at CMC 3 years ago in the ICU. Absolutely fell in love with CMC and everything that was there. And then the first group came around, and I thought, this is going to be the next step. We're going to push this dream. So I applied for the first group, waited to hear back, kind of crossed my fingers a little bit. And then coming here, I think the first day was probably more than what I expected. But it actually turned out to be everything I really needed. I now work at the surgical care group, so I work with the general surgeons, and I travel with one of my providers to the obesity center. And now my next dream, because of doing this, is becoming a PA. So I'm going to complete my 3,600 hours and then continue with school.
Good for you. Yeah, that's really great. That's really great. Yeah, go ahead.
I applied to this program looking to start a new career. The past 5 years I've been working in the substance use disorder field. And I've been kind of drawn to the medical field because, my prescriptions are a lot of money, and I know hospitals offer good health insurance. So that was kind of a big direction for me. And my mom's a nurse practitioner, so kind of following in her footsteps a little bit. So, having this opportunity to have class and externship and hired on immediately, can't get any better than that. So I definitely jumped onto that opportunity, and it certainly, reminded me every day that I made the right choice.
Right, that's great. And so are you in the current code? Remind me, you're in the current one? Okay, that's great. That's great.
My mom got sick, and it was just like me, my mom, my sister. And I basically had to take care of her while she was dying because she wanted to die at home.
I'm sorry.
But even then I didn't want to do the medical thing. And then I ended up recently, a couple months ago, I got sick, and I spent some time in the hospital. And it was like the way that the nurses cared for me, and like how how they were with me, that made me see like I have a good heart. So it's like I always tend to use it in ways that are not beneficial for me. I should say that. So then I was in the hospital, and like it clicked to me that like this is what I want to do. And like I was like Googling it. Googling medical jobs, like hospital jobs, not necessarily medical assistant or anything else. I'll be okay with dietary aid as long as I can just get into the hospital, like, So I was obsessing over hospital jobs, and then I found the apprenticeship, and I was like, they're gonna pay me to go to school? Oh my God, like this is perfect. Because for me, like, I've been in college before, but it's like so long of a process. And like when I seen like it was like 8 weeks and then 12 weeks, like it was step by step, like it was a short amount of time, and then like I'm like, okay, so I can have like a degree, like I can have like a career, an actual career, rather than something really small or whatever. So I think that's what drawn me to it, more so that they paid me to go to school. Because I like to learn, like that. And so that was like beneficial. And the time frame too was beneficial because I don't need to be in school for 2 years in order to have something under my belt. So.
And that's really important. And I'm sorry you lost your mom. I'm glad though that you've had a chance once you realized kind of where your heart was to find a way to, as you put it, get something done and under your belt.
It was like fate. It was just fell in my lap, and I was like, oh my God.
But that's, of course, I mean, and that's what opportunity really is about, right? We talk about making sure people have opportunity, and that's very important to who we are as a country. But what that really means is when you have that moment where things click, we want people to be able to take that next step, and we want them to be able to do it even if they don't have money in a savings account, or even if they don't have, you know, a lot of family behind them. We want you to be able to seize that. If you're willing to work hard, we should be willing to make that possible. And that goes to, you know, to everybody here. And people also, you know, the way you make decisions and the way you decide what path to follow in life isn't usually linear, right? I mean, we tend to have different things happen, and you have different realizations at different times. So we're just trying to figure out how to make, you know, give everybody the on-ramp they need at the right time for that. So that's, thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
So this would not have been possible for me to do if it weren't for this program. I went to college right after high school. I went to a fairly expensive college to become a radiographer. Graduated, worked for a year in my field, discovered that I really loved working with patients more one-on-one, which is not what I was doing taking x-rays. My dream was to be able to help someone more than I was just taking their x-rays and be part of their care, but unfortunately my loan amount was so excessive that there was no way I was going to be able to go back to school because I have so many loans to have to pay off, and the amount that I pay monthly is not a doable amount, and being able to go back to school while still trying to pay those was not going to be possible. So when I found this program, it was just kind of the best thing that could have happened, because I now get to follow that dream and be able to do what I want and not have to worry about adding on to the cost of my 4-year degree. So it was really great to be able to have my dream, have it be where I want to go, and not have to worry about the extra stress of how am I going to pay for this, because I already have these.
Well, thank you for deciding to go that next step, and again, realizing what it is that will really make this work for you, both as an education program, but the career, you know, the way you want to be able to interact with patients. On the student debt front, there are a number of us trying to address that from a bunch of different directions, one of which would be allowing people to refinance their loans at lower interest rates, just the way other people, you know, we can refinance mortgages, we can refinance other loans. I think you should be able to refinance your student loans. And I also think that there are other ways we should be making sure that you have options so that your repayment every month isn't more than a certain amount of your income. But and know that it's something that our constituent service office and my Senate office sometimes helps people who maybe aren't earning enough to make that loan, make sure that if there are income-based loan repayment programs or the like, that we're helping you find whatever is out there. I don't think there are enough options for you out there right now, but it's something I'm trying to work on. How is it teaching these wonderful people?
You know, it's been such a great opportunity. What I had done previously was I had worked as a professor here in the degree program for MAs, and as you can see, I've gotten a little older. So I retired from that, and now I come back part-time, which I love, and I get to see these women, and women in this group, but sometimes there's men, really grow and just their excitement, and they're so thrilled, but they are somewhat overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And that's always hard.
Right.
Because we were discussing today that it's really hard for the associate degree people because many times they also have to work in addition to going to school, so they have that kind of that double whammy. So I'm so pleased to just see them be able to grow and to do well and to be able to have this as a stepping stone.
Yeah.
Just with great pride.
That's great. Anybody else anything else on people's minds or anything else you want me to know? Well, this is, you can if you want, you don't need to. I'm going to continue just to get my colleagues engaged in this particular issue because I think depending on what experience elected officials have and what they're hearing from their constituents, they may or may not be as focused on kind of the way we're trying to make sure that people have options. And, you know, for some folks, traditional college is going to be their path forward and they're going to do it and they're going to build careers, but in all likelihood they're going to need to continue to upskill over time. For other people, it's always going to be a mix of what makes sense in your life in this time. And for a lot of people, they're beginning to look at the issue of how expensive post-secondary education is generally, and just saying, well, wait a minute, why would I want to take on a lot of debt, right? We are trying to also find more and more ways to help people to lower the cost of higher education and deal with the debt issues, make more Pell Grants available. We're trying to make more Pell Grants available to post-secondary programs like this one, high quality, outcomes-based. But we want people to have more options, and we want employers to know that they can partner up and really get the expertise of a Manchester Community College, right, in the teaching aspect. You know, just know that I'll continue to work on making sure there are more and more options like this, not only in the healthcare field, but in other fields. And to everybody here, the other thing I always want to remind people is that my Senate office has a constituent service staff. It is a huge part of what we do here in the state. So whatever the issue may be, if you have friends or family who are veterans and they're having an issue with the VA, if you have ideas about legislation that would help in your life or other people's, let us know. If there's something going on, you know, one of the things I've heard a lot about recently from constituents that I'm also working on, which is relevant to the field you're in, which is surprise medical bills, right? So somebody has insurance and they go to an emergency room and they think everybody they're dealing with is in their insurance network, and then it turns out one person isn't, and they wind up with a bill. And I'm working with a Republican senator to try to make sure that we just pull the patients out of that. That shouldn't be the patient's worry. That should be between the health insurer and CMC, you know, and that's what we need to work on. So those are the types of things I continue to work on, and I just can't thank you enough for. You're all really busy people, and you're really hard workers, so that you took this time with me means an awful lot to me. So thank you for doing that. Good luck with your careers, and I look forward to hearing, you know, at least informally about how everybody's doing.
Absolutely.
You know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator. Thank you.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Anything else I should know about the program?
No, I think that we talked through the apprenticeship piece, and we talked through the employer, and I think that, and I can't stress that enough, I think that having employers that come to the table with, you know, what, as Emily said, what those pain points are, and we can help them. I think it's identifying that and putting the time in, and, you know, CMC's done an excellent job of doing that, and really staying committed to that program, because it is a huge commitment.
I have to say too, I've had the pleasure of being able to interview and be a part of the selection process for all 3 of the cohorts now, and I have been just absolutely amazed and humbled by everybody's stories and how they've come to us, and I'm so proud and so excited to see all of their successes, and it makes me just so happy to get to be a part of everybody's life.
You guys are an impressive group, I
Yes.
have to say,
Yes.
and it's really,
Most definitely.
it's really nice to hear from all of you. And, you know, as I said, it's going to be fun to see what you all do over the course of your career. So
Absolutely.
thank you again.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.